Hello. So we are at a different location today. I am traveling. I'm at a conference for work, and I have a bit of a break between now and my next session. And so I was just talking to somebody actually that I had lunch with about the carnivore diet and just different things that have come up in my mind and things and whatever. So it made me remember that I have been meaning to come on here and talk to you guys and tell you that I am doing the carnivore diet and what made me start and how long have I been doing it and what have I seen from it. So for those of you that may or may not know, the carnivore diet, at least how I understand it to be and what I'm doing, is that you literally only eat meat, eggs, and cheese. You eat animal products. I'm not here. There is no part of me that's telling me that I think that you should do it or that this is the only lifestyle or way of eating or living, or that veganism is bad or vegetarianism is bad. Absolutely not. I think that whatever works for you is absolutely what you should do. Also, this is a pretty extreme diet. So I found this from Lisa Duncan, who's here on YouTube. She's been here for 16 years. And she's got lots of videos on it, so you can definitely check her out. But a quick recap, she fell into carnivorism because she had really, really, really bad IBS and she had a lot of stomach issues, and doctors could not help her, and they kept telling her to try, I think it's the paleo diet, and it didn't help and it didn't do anything, and she was just miserable. And then she happened to find someone who talked about the carnivore diet, and so at that point she had nothing to lose. I mean, she was miserable. So one way that people do this is as an extreme elimination diet. So what can happen is your stomach can just be a mess because it's too inflamed, it's too this, it's too that, whatever. So you do your elimination diet for, I'm not a doctor, ask them about it, I don't know, maybe 30 days, whatever. Maybe however long you need for your stomach to calm down and go back to normal. And then when you're at your baseline, you slowly add things back. So you're like, okay, today I'm going to try and add green beans. I don't know. And see if I can digest them, right? And then you keep going from there. What you don't do is be like, okay, today I'm going to try green beans and carrots and onions and tomato. No, you do one thing at a time, okay? Because your body needs to know what that thing is that it's digesting. If you try 6 things and you can't digest them, you don't know which one of the 6 caused it. So slow and steady, folks. If you don't do it slow and steady, then I think you just kind of invalidated your elimination diet. So then you went through all of that for nothing. So not my recommendation, but once again, talk to your doctor. So I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease when I was 12 or 13, and I had a bunch of polyps in my colon, had a couple ulcers, and I've pretty much just had intestinal issues my whole life. I honestly don't believe that I have, or even had, I would say, Crohn's disease. I can understand why I was diagnosed with that because on paper it looked like it, and my dad has ulcerative colitis, and they're considered cousin diseases. So genetically, it would have made sense that I had Crohn's because he had ulcerative colitis and my symptoms matched and blah, blah, blah. But we also know that the brain-gut connection is very big. And I am somebody who struggles with anxiety and have my whole life. And I think that I can confidently say that my intestinal issues vastly improved when I moved out on my own. So I think that there is definitely something to be said for the environment that I was in. And that's going to make it sound like I was in an abusive household, and I was not. We were spoiled growing up. I literally had a white picket fence, but there's other dynamics that can go on in a household that can just add to the walking on eggshells feeling. And so for someone that already struggles with anxiety to then be permanently walking on eggshells, I think my stomach just became the ticking time bomb. So it didn't come out anywhere else. It just showed up in my intestines. Okay. So when I was an adult, because you can go to I was diagnosed at a children's hospital. And so I was allowed to keep that gastroenterologist until I forget. They didn't cut me off right at 18. Maybe it was 20. And then after that, in order to continue to be treated, I needed to see a gastroenterologist for adults. And they did not uphold the diagnosis. They thought that I just had IBS. Now, several thoughts about that. I think if someone's miserable, you should never put just in front of their diagnosis, because let's be serious, like that minimizes it, makes you feel like you're being a baby, like you're reacting for this just for like nothing. So did not love that. That really upset me, to be honest, because it made me feel like there was no hope, because even they said, since it's just IBS, there's really not much that you can do, like this, that, and the other. And so they were basically just like, go with God, figure it out. Did not love that, obviously. It was after that that I started to really notice the connection, between anxiety and my stomach. And over the years, it's gotten a ton better. Now, I will tell you, if I'm extremely excited about something, bro, I know I'm already not going to eat. I'm not eating on purpose. If I'm extremely anxious about something, I'm not going to eat. If I'm like any strong emotion, like I can just be extremely happy but not be able to eat because it's too extreme. Like whatever's going on is too extreme. So I just kind of got used to that, and I prepped for that, and I like did things out and around that. I did not eat on my wedding day because I was so excited, and I was like, I'm not going to be standing up there. Absolutely not. So this is all, I didn't mean to go into all of that, but this is just a big old backstory of I've always had intestinal issues. And I have heard over the years, and I'm not poo-pooing it, I think it's true, but it's just like, okay, what are you gonna do with that? But that sugar is like the worst thing for your body. Sugar is very inflammatory. Sugar can upset your stomach. Sugar can cause headaches. Sugar can cause joint pains, like da. And in my mind, that was always like, great. To me, that's the equivalent of saying such and such causes cancer. Literally everything causes cancer at this point. So the air that you breathe, the water you drink, literally if you catch rainwater, if you don't purify it, it has toxins in it. Like, telling me that something causes cancer is kind of like, okay, it would actually be easier for you to tell me what specifically doesn't cause cancer at this point, because then I could at least, there's something for me to focus on. So that was my reaction when people would be like, sugar's bad, whatever. And I'm not here to say that you need to cut sugar out of your life, blah, blah, blah. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just telling you what I have done and what I have experienced. So as somebody with digestive issues, bread was my favorite food, right? Because bread soaks up all the acids in your stomach. Bread is calm. Bread does not tear things up, right? So I loved all the breads. I loved plain white bread. I loved Hawaiian bread. I loved cinnamon bread. I just pretty much, if it's bread, I loved it. Pastries, donuts. I will tell you, I started to notice over the years that donuts started to make me sick, but did that make me stop eating them? No. But I will also say I noticed it like right before I stopped eating them. So I guess, yes, it did technically make me stop eating them. But yeah, it's also at that point, for those of you out there with digestive issues, you kind of know it's almost impossible to be like, well, this thing made me sick, because when everything makes you sick, how do I know that today's any different from yesterday, or that today has anything to do with what I ate at all? You know what I'm saying? I can eat the exact same meal and one time be perfectly fine, digest it perfectly, and the next time be absolutely dead, right? So it's like, I don't know what to tell you. It's so hard to definitively say this thing is hard for me to digest. So anyways, I'm obviously not a healthy weight. You guys can tell that from the videos, and I haven't been, like, ever my whole life. I've always been overweight. And that also felt like something that I had no control over, which I know that sounds dumb. You can diet, you can exercise, you can do this, you can do that. Yes, I know. I had a personal trainer for a while, and even she was mind boggled. I was with her not quite a full year, and she kind of gave up at the end. And I was with her like 3+ times a week, and I worked out the other days that I wasn't working out with her. And I think in that whole time frame, I lost 15 pounds. And she was like, I mean, I've not had anybody lose as little as you're losing. And I obviously have a lot to lose, right? So it's not like I'm somebody that's so fit that after losing 15 pounds, there was nothing left to lose. So I was like, well, then why am I paying you? Because it was very expensive. But then honestly, as you do, I gave up completely, because I'm like, well, I'm watching what I'm eating. I'm working out, all the things, blah, blah, blah. This is a long time ago. This is not recent. But I can't control this because my body's just going to be like this. Like, nothing's working, right? I did look into bariatric surgery at one point, and once again, I am not here to say if anything's good, bad, indifferent. It just was not something that we could do. My insurance with my job would not cover it. And they also said that specifically as a woman, it causes certain risks. And if any time in my life after this surgery, I had any of these health concerns, heart attack, stroke, some pretty major things, that I was told that would also not be covered. So if I had a heart attack and went to the hospital, everything would be out of pocket, because it's possible that the heart attack was in response to the bariatric surgery they had at whatever point, right? So for the rest of my life, and I was in my 20s at that time, maybe I had turned 30, but still, you know what I'm saying? Late 20s, early 30s. For the whole rest of my life, if I have any of these serious major medical concerns, I'm on my own. I'm paying out of pocket I'm going broke basically. And I was like, well, that's the pits. Plus, because it wasn't covered by insurance, I had to pay tens and tens of thousands of dollars for the surgery to begin with. And if the surgery had any complications, those obviously weren't covered either. So it was just a big old money pit. And I was like, we literally can't afford this. Like, even if I wanted to take the risk, which I am not a gambler, I could not fathom how we would pay for it and like how we would ever live the rest of our lives, because now we're buried in this debt. None of it made sense to me. So then they were like, well, you might be able to qualify for financial assistance and, blah, blah, blah. And then that can cover up to like 90% of it, which is great. I'm glad that they do that. But to me, the swing is too big. So with no assistance, the cost is huge, astronomical. With assistance, the cost is, I don't know, a couple $1,000s. But there's no in between. You get it or you don't. And so they ran my numbers and they said that I didn't qualify, but that if I divorced my husband, I would qualify. And I honestly had this person beg me to consider divorcing my husband, because then I would qualify and I could get the surgery. Once again, if you listen to anything that I'm saying, it is not that I'm here to tell you what to do. I absolutely know people that I love and respect, that have divorced their spouses for situations like this. And I approve. You know what I'm saying? Maybe I shouldn't say I approve. I'm not against it. Like, that's fine. I think that the rules and stipulations that we put on stuff in this country for people to get medical help is mind-boggling. I think that when you have somebody dying with a terminal illness, the fact that all of your assets like are going to be taken away because you're married to this person, so you just lost the love of your life, whatever. It's too messy. It's too much. I don't like it. So when I have unfortunately known people to experience these things and then they divorce their spouse in order to not lose literally everything in their life at the same time, I totally understand that. I just couldn't do it. I couldn't wrap my head around it. It's more than just a piece of paper to me. I know I could still call him my husband, but like I would always know that he's not. And we all have our quirks. I couldn't get over it. I could not get over it. I could not wrap my head around it. So we didn't. And so that kind of was the nail in the coffin for me mentally of, there's nothing I can do. This is just going to be the body that I'm living in for the rest of my life. And it sucks. And I know it's not healthy. And I know it's my fault. But I'm past the point of being able to do anything. I waited too late. I'm too old now. I'm too sore. I'm too this. I'm too that. I missed the boat. And so a few months ago, I was playing with my niece, and my best friend is pregnant again. And so she was out on the couch, just kind of taking a nibby nap. I don't think she was actually napping. I think she was just resting for a second. And my niece had pulled me into her room, and she was just having me up, down, up, down, up, down. And then she wanted me to sit in this tiny little, one of her little baby toddler chairs. And I was just like, honey, like, she did not understand that I was going to break her chair, right? And so we just did all the things, and I did them with her, but I was like, I'm exhausted because I'm up downing with a toddler, but I'm the age that I should be up downing with a toddler. I'm not in my 60s. And if you're in your 60s and you can up down with a toddler, praise be. Okay. I'm so proud of you, because that's intentional. You have to keep moving to be able to keep moving, right? Motion is lotion, as they say. And there's so many people in their 50s, 60s, 70s that didn't and can't, whether it's, I mean, they might have never been able to, right? People have lots of different physical abilities and limitations. But I am not the age where it should have been so difficult for me to up down with my niece. And then I saw a story, somebody else on YouTube, and she was talking about how she went to Disneyland, Disney World, one of the big theme parks, with her nephew, and he was, I'm going to say a toddler, maybe 5. And he wanted her to ride all the rides with him and like this and that and the other. And she couldn't because she didn't fit in the rides. And not only did she not fit in the rides, but after the first day of walking through the park, she was friggin' miserable. Like, back hurt, legs hurt, everything hurt. Like, let me just die. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so she also had that same realization. I am not old enough for this. Like, what is happening? Like, this is not okay. I am supposed to take a trip later this year, and I started to panic because it's a trip that you cannot drive to. So I was like, will I even fit in a plane? I don't know. My husband and I aren't travelers. So everything I Googled said that there's no specific weight limit. It's just kind of how you fit in the seat and fit within the seatbelt, and you have to be able to have the arms down and da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, well, that doesn't actually answer my question because I don't know. Until I physically go and get on this plane, I'm not going to know if I fit or not. And now I don't want to pay thousands of dollars for this like once in a lifetime vacation and plane tickets and whatever, and literally be turned away at the gate because I don't fit in the plane. Okay. Also, I don't think I mentioned this, but I have weighed the same thing. Once again, not a healthy weight. Never said it was. Never pretend to anybody that I'm like, oh, I'm okay with my body weight. No. But it wasn't changing. I pretty much got to a point and then I stayed there, and then a decade goes by and I still stayed there, and I was just like, I don't like it, but at least I'm not getting any bigger. Like, I guess I'm just at my normal or whatever, and it's just going to stay this way forever. Yeah. Nope, that's not what happens. Turns out you get older and you just start gaining weight for absolutely no reason. None of your patterns change, nothing changes, and your metabolism just goes, and then you just start gaining weight. I didn't even notice that I was gaining weight. And I think it's because I don't wear tight clothes. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wear clothes that are stretchy and comfortable because obviously. I will tell you where I noticed it the most was my bras. I just felt like I suddenly couldn't get comfortable in my bras, and it didn't matter if it had an underwire. It didn't matter if it was a sports bra. It didn't matter this. I just hated my bras all of a sudden. But even then they technically fit. So I didn't realize that I had basically grown out of them. Like, I don't know how else to say that. So, I honestly don't remember what triggered it. I don't know if it was the flight or this or that. Something happened because I don't weigh myself consistently. And I noticed my husband's scale in the bathroom. And so I got on it and I said, excuse me, what? Because when I tell you I had not changed weight in over a decade, it was the same. Maybe 2 pounds up, 2 pounds down, 2 pounds up, 2 pounds down. It was the same. And I looked at that number and said, oh, what? I was shocked. I couldn't believe that I'd actually gained weight, and I couldn't believe what I was so close to. And I was like, oh, hell no. No. Something has got to give. No. And so that was it. That was the straw that broke the camel's back. And thank God I had already built a relationship with Lisa Duncan here on YouTube that I found Carnivore through. I had always found her carnivore videos interesting. I watched them very much from the perspective of, couldn't be me. Like, that could never be me, because bread is my favorite food. Pasta is my second favorite food. The answer is no, right? My boss and my friend tells me that my coffee in the morning was basically a candy bar because of the level of sugary cream and then sugar I added to it. She's like, you're drinking a candy bar for breakfast. And she's not wrong. The amount of sugar intake that I had was nuts. And my husband would always get mad because my numbers were fine. My A1C, perfect. My, what is it? I'm trying to say glycerin levels, but that's not right. Glycerin is something else. Glucose levels, fine. Like, my blood tests always came back that I was a very healthy person, even though I am not. You know what I'm saying? So thank the Lord for that. Like, at least I had that going for me. And my husband is not fit, but weighs a lot less than I do. And he was always pre-diabetic, then diabetic, and then back to pre-diabetic. And he also had almost like a quarter of the sugar intake than I had. So he's like, how are you eating this much sugar? And yeah, I'm the one with the problem. And I'm like, listen, I don't know. Maybe the Lord is compensating because you have perfect eyes and I have terrible eyes. So he's just, you give some, you take some. I'm joking, obviously. Don't take that too seriously. So I was just like, that's it. I'm too young for this. I feel like I'm 100 years old. I had no hope for my future because if this is how I feel now, I don't even necessarily want to know how I'm going to feel at 75. I don't even know that I'll make it to 75. Like things are not good, right? And I think it's like we've talked about this before. It's the putting the frog in a pot of boiling water, right? If the pot is already boiling and you put a frog in it, it's going to jump right out because it's like, what was that? No, thank you. But if you put a frog in a pot of cold or room temperature water and then slowly boil it, it's going to stay in there because it doesn't notice the change in temperature, and eventually you're going to boil it alive, which is rude and you should not do that. So I kind of feel like that's where I was. These aches and pains and new side effects and symptoms and whatever just slowly built over time, and they made sense. Well, yeah, that's going to happen when you have this much weight on your knees and when you have this and when you have that, like whatever. So it's like, I just kind of let it all happen to me. And I put that in quotes because I actively participated in all of that. I am not a victim here. But then it's like you wake up one day and you're like, I don't actually have to live like this. Like I actually can change something. And I am clearly at the beginning of this story. This is not the end, right? So we started the Friday before Thanksgiving was the first day that we started carnivore. And it was a terrible time to start, obviously. The very next week was Thanksgiving and it sucked. And then we go through the whole Christmas season, no hot chocolate, sucked. Then we go through Christmas itself, sucked. Then you go through New Year's. Like, listen, we went through all of the major food holidays and it sucked. I'm really proud of us that we stuck with it. But also I'm so grateful for my husband because I was just going to do this myself. And he was like, no, you're going to fail. And I was like, rude. But also, let me just tell you, in those first couple weeks, had he come home with some pizza while I was trying to be carnivore, I can promise you I would have thrown my carnivore food out and eaten his pizza. There's a 0% chance that I could have done it had my husband not been doing it with me. Having that accountability, being afraid to disappoint him as well as disappointing myself, not even having the food physically in the house because we got rid of all of it. It was so much easier that he did it with me, and I cannot tell you how much I appreciate that. So now, why all of this is kind of coming to a head and why I'm doing this video is that my husband and I are not travelers typically. And I had to fly to Orlando for a work trip. And so I've been here this week. And it's been very interesting. And what I keep thinking is, if I were in my first week of carnivore, I would be failing right now. But I also had a few thoughts. And so I just wanted to explain them. So what I mean by that is if I were early into carnivore and I get here and every day at breakfast, yes, you have bacon and eggs and sausage, which I can absolutely eat. And so that is what I have been eating. But then you have all of these pastries and all of this fruit, but then more pastries. And then, so that's breakfast, right? And I would have had every single pastry that they had. I probably would have had duplicates. So we've got all the pastries that I would have been eating. But then before lunch, so there's a couple sessions and then there's a refreshment break. And they have warm, huge cinnamon rolls and then other pastries and stuff. So the refreshments before lunch are all sweet. And then you have lunch, which honestly, the actual food options are fairly healthy. Like there's a lot of like hummus and quinoa and salad and like this and that. There's more vegetarian, vegan options than there are meat options, which is fine. I have still been able to find something to eat. But then after lunch, there's several dessert tables, right? And they look and smell delicious. And then for dinner, same thing, dessert, along with macaroni and cheese and like all of the carby good stuff that like you would want to eat. So if I were early on into being carnivore, I would not have stuck at carnivore. I would have basically given myself the excuse, I'm here, it's not going to be possible, so I'm going to go ahead and just cheat this week and then try and get back on it when I get home or whatever, right? Cool. But here's what cheating would have looked like. Cheating would not have looked like I'm going to add cream in my coffee because cream has carbs and sugar in it. Cheating would have looked like everything that I just described. I would have had the pastries for breakfast. I would have had the cinnamon roll in between because I freaking love me a cinnamon roll. I would have probably had dessert with lunch, dessert with dinner. Granted, the desserts are tiny. They're like little portions, but they're also unlimited. So who's to say I just had one little bite of dessert? You know what I'm saying? I would have definitely had the macaroni and cheese when they served that. The pasta that they served with lunch yesterday smelled delicious. Everybody at the table was like, oh my gosh, the pasta's the best. Have you tried the pasta? The pasta's so good. I was like, if y'all could shut up about the pasta. I wasn't actually mad about it, but I was salty. I wanted some, and it smelled really good. It was like Mediterranean smelling. I would have had all of it. You know what I'm saying? I would have indulged in every single thing that was non-carnivore, because if I'm already cheating this week, YOLO. So I also think there's a problem with that too, because what is actually happening this week is that I'm sure that I am cheating, but I'm not doing it on purpose. So what I mean by that, for the first few days, I just had black coffee because you can put heavy cream in coffee because it does not have carbs or sugar. It only has fat. And fat is actually really good for you on the carnivore diet / fat is just kind of good for you in general. Moderation, all the things. But they don't have it. They don't have heavy cream here. They have whole milk, which has tons of sugar in it naturally. They have like oat milk. They have other things, but they all have sugar in them and carbs. So I've been drinking black coffee. Do I like black coffee? No. But is black coffee better than no coffee? Yes. So that's what I've been doing. And it sucks, but also I'm alive. First world problems. You know what I'm saying? Like, no big deal. And controversial. Got my Diet Coke. You know what I'm saying? Whatever. But as for the food options, the food is where I think that I'm cheating because I don't know how they're preparing it. So I am literally only eating meat, eggs, and cheese, which is my diet. That's carnivore. But I don't know how they're preparing it. And at home, I can make sure that it has no sauce with it, or that whatever sauce is something that we made that does not have carbs or sugar in it, or whatever. So for instance, the chicken that I just had, it was jerk chicken or Jamaican chicken or something like that. I took everything off of it. It was like in this kind of like marinade in the thing. Cause there's, you know, I'm here with 1,500 of my closest friends. So everything that they're serving us is a mass serve thing. I took off all the tomatoes and everything that was out and around it, but whatever that juice was still got in it. And so as I was eating it, I was like, I can slightly taste pineapple. You know what I'm saying? So I can promise you that whatever that marinade is, there was some sugar in that. But I either eat that level of sugar or nothing at all. So that is my version of cheating. The steak last night, some of the meat options were like heavily covered in stuff. And so I was like, I'm gonna skip those because you would get more of the other stuff than you would of the meat. So for instance, there was a shrimp salad just now for lunch. And I literally contemplated standing there and picking out some of the shrimp, but then I looked behind me and I saw this massive line, obviously, and it was shrimp mixed with quinoa and some other stuff, and it would have taken me forever to get all of these little bits and pieces off of every shrimp, and there's no point at that point, and I'm not making all of these people wait. If it was like a dish that had been sent to my room and I'm here by myself and I can take all the time that I need to pick everything off the shrimp, sure, because I love shrimp. But I was like, I'm not doing that. So then I picked the steak option, but the steak had a sauce on it. It was a brown sauce. I don't know what it was. But even soy sauce has freaking sugar in it. So that's my point. I am positive that I'm cheating this week. It's also harder because I'm not in control of my food, right? It's not that I'm out on vacation and I can go to whatever restaurant I choose and then I can order what I want off the menu and then I can ask for special requests on top of that. No, I'm at a conference and they're serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and they're serving what they're serving, and you're going to eat it or you're not. And so I'm just doing the best that I can with what I have. So I am mentally preparing myself. When I'm at home, I weigh myself every single day, and I use a smart app. And then in the app, I also write down everything that I ate the day before. And it just helps me track patterns. Is this going well? Is this not going well? Why? Whatever. That's how I realized that cold brew does have carbs in it, even though regular coffee doesn't. Because I made sure that it didn't have sugar, but I didn't even look at the carbs because I just, in my head, I was like, well, coffee doesn't have carbs. And so after like 3-4 days of drinking that, I noticed that I was gaining weight, and I was like, why am I gaining weight? And then I was like, well, that's the only different thing. So then I went to the fridge and I looked at it and I was like, son of a gun, 4 grams of carbs. So 4 grams of carbs 3 days in a row, and I'm gaining pounds, right? Whatever. So all of that to say, I am positive. I did not bring my scale with me. Some people do that. They don't have a scale here, so I've not been able to weigh myself. So I am probably going to get home and see a higher number than what I would like. It's probably not going to be the same as what it was when I got here. I would love for it to be lower because typically week over week, I lose weight with the carnivore diet. But I just don't see that happening because I just believe that I'm intaking carbs and sugar secretly and things that I don't know about. But that's what I'm not going to get hung up on. That's what I'm not going to get fussy about. Because you know what I am doing? I am avoiding all of the pastries, all of the pasta, all of the bread, all of the everything. And this is what I couldn't have done early on. So my friend texted me yesterday and she was like, hey, I'm not going to make it to breakfast on time. Can you grab me a banana? Well, they didn't have any bananas. And all they had was stuff that's you would need a plate for, but I couldn't do it. So what I did was I just grabbed one of their cloth napkins. I stole it and I layered several pastries on it because I didn't know what she wanted. And then I wrapped the little napkin up and I took it with me. The breakfast place is in the same hotel, so it's fine. It's not like I actually stole it. But like that would have been pure torture for me months ago. Like to be able to go near the pastries, to touch them, to be holding them and not be able to have them, like that would have been really hard. When I got here on Sunday, I did go to a restaurant at that point because I got here before the conference started the night before, but late the night before. And so I just ate at the restaurant at the hotel and I ordered just chicken. I just wanted the chicken breast. And the waiter asked me what sides I wanted. And I said, no sides. I just want the chicken. And he was like, are you sure? And I said, yep. And so when he brought it and set down a basket full of warm bread and butter. And then he brought it with fries and ketchup because he could not believe that I didn't want the sides. And he was like, I just brought this just in case. Like, he just wanted to be nice. Thank you, good sir. But bread is my favorite food. And this looks delicious. And now you've got these fries sitting next to me and they smell just so salty and crispy and fantastic. But I didn't eat them. I didn't even touch them. I just ate my chicken, pushed everything else to the side. I did not say anything to the waiter. He was trying to be nice. I'm not mad about it. It's fine. But I will say when he came back to get my plate and everything, he was like, you're all done? And I was like, uh-huh. And he looked like a wounded puppy because I did not touch those fries. But I specifically told you that I did not want anything else. But things like that, like, and I'm not trying to sit here and say, oh, my life is so hard or anything like that. But changing your life is hard. Changing lifestyles is hard. Changing habits is hard. Choose your hard. You know, you've probably heard that before, but eating healthy, eating an extreme elimination diet, working out every day, whatever the thing is that you're potentially going to do to get healthy, that is hard. Do you know what else is hard? Being this level of overweight. It's not actually easy. It's painful. There are side effects. It's not convenient. You can't do things. You get turned away from things. It's hard too. I'm watching my parents age as overweight people. I can promise you it doesn't get any easier. It's hard. And I can choose to right now put in vast levels of hard to avoid their levels of hard later. And that's what I'm trying to do. So I don't know. I just thought that I'd want to come on here and chat with you guys. It's been a really eye-opening experience for my husband and I. So we started it the week before Thanksgiving. So we've been doing it for a little bit over 6 months now. And there have been some shocking impacts from it. I have been iron deficient my whole life, but I could never take iron supplements or anything because my stomach was already a mess and they just made it worse. And so my doctors were basically like, yes, you're iron deficient. Yes, you should technically be taking supplements and stuff, but you're also not bad enough that you're going to like heal over or anything. So basically it's not worth it for you. The side effects of taking it would be worse than your side effects of having low iron. So just don't do anything. And I was like, Gucci, I am okay with that. But that's also because, just like the toad in the boiling water, I'd been iron deficient for so long that I don't know what it feels like to not be iron deficient. So I was always tired, had no energy, and like I just kind of thought that that was a weight thing. Like somehow being at this level of weight takes away your energy. Like it's purely the weight. It has nothing else to do with anything else. And other people can just force themselves to work out and they can just force themselves to wake up early and like this, that, and the other. I should be able to just do it. It's mind over matter, blah, blah, blah. No, I was literally like clinically exhausted because of the level of iron deficient that I was. And if I ate, it's over. Literally every single meal. I didn't notice that I was doing it for the longest and then it just became a joke. I would be a few bites into my food and be like, oh, I could take a nap. And like, it would genuinely surprise me every time. And finally my husband's like, do you realize that you literally say this every time you put food in your mouth? So then it became a joke and it was funny, but it was also still true. We're a few bites in and I would just look at him and he'd be like, are you tired? And I'd be like, yeah, I'm sleepy. I sleep less now, as in I need less hours of sleep. I naturally wake up earlier in the mornings. I wake up awake, which did not exist before. I'm not tired after lunch. I'm not tired after dinner. I don't really snack, but let's pretend that I did. I'm not tired after that. I have a lot more energy every day and still at an unhealthy weight. My knee and hip used to hurt. And that was just like, my doctor was like, well, yeah, like between your weight and your age, that's a lot on your hip and knee. And so it's just like, there's nothing wrong with it. It's not like you've torn something or whatever. Like you're just going to hurt. Nope. Having no carbs and no sugar, gone. No knee pain, no hip pain. Took a couple weeks, but completely gone. My husband, his fingers and stuff, his joints don't hurt anymore. I can't even think of all of them right now. I should have written it down before I did this, but so many mind-boggling side effects that are good. So I don't even know that I want to call them just effects. I don't know. My stomach is loads better. Incomparable. There has never in my life been a time that I have gone this long being this healthy in my stomach. Absolutely mind-boggling. And another cool thing about it is that because I eat such a restricted diet, if something foreign does get in, you then immediately know what it is that you didn't react well to. So that's convenient. And so then you can be like, oh, wow, I really can't actually eat that. Because like before I was saying, it's so hard to tell because since everything you eat makes you sick, it's like, well, was it this or was it this or was it this? And so by doing the elimination diet, if you add something back in and then it goes horribly wrong, you're like, guess what? That thing is not a thing that I can have. And I know that now. And I'm able to definitively say that. So I don't know. It's honestly been really cool. It's highly controversial, as is everything in the world. But I will tell you, our doctor's okay with it. He said that he's seen really good success with it when people do it for up to a few years. So as I said, my husband went from being diabetic to now he's not diabetic. He just changed his lifestyle, right? He changed what he's eating. Oh, by the way, so I've lost almost, I'm so mad that it's not there yet, but almost 60 pounds in the last 6 months. And I've not worked out a step until this week because this conference, let me tell you, it is spread out, honey. We're all doing 20, 30,000 steps a day. You should see my feet. They're literally bloody. It's a mess. And I wouldn't even call that working out. I'm just saying that this week I'm actually getting my steps in and I usually don't. So I've lost almost 60 pounds without getting my steps in, without exercising, without changing anything but what goes in my body. And it's made such a huge and dramatic impact on my life. And because I started with that, now I think I can work out. You know what I'm saying? Now that I don't have chronic knee and hip pain, I'm not as afraid to go on the, is it an elliptical? I guess that's what it is. We have one. I was terrified to go for walks around the neighborhood. My husband used to do that and take one of our dogs all the time. I wouldn't do it because if I'm too many houses down the street and it hits me that I need to go to the bathroom, I'm screwed. I will not have time to get all the way back to my house. So I guess I could walk through my yard, backyard, front yard, backyard, front yard, because that way I'm always by a bathroom. The level of awareness of how far away bathrooms are, if you have never had such consistent and bad digestive issues, it probably doesn't even occur to you. But as somebody who did, that scared me because you do not want to not be able to be there. Okay. And now I was literally thinking about it after the fact. So our second day at the conference, everybody out and around me is dying. They're just like, my feet hurt. Oh my gosh, we've walked so many steps, like da 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 da. And it actually wasn't that bad. And I just think, no, I've not been working out, but I have been trying to build up my stamina, I guess. Be more okay with standing longer, be more okay with walking longer from the mall, parking lots, whatever. And so I just think that showed. But so that just, I don't know. When you look at people that are visibly fit and they're like, wow, this has been too many steps, it makes you feel validated. Like, okay, so this was a lot of steps. This isn't just an overweight person's lots of steps, right? But I completely just saying that threw me out of whatever I was talking about. And I don't remember. Why I was saying that is because we're on day 3 or 4 at this point. But somewhere between day 2 and 3, it hit me. I'm sure that because this is in a very nice hotel / resort / whatever, there's bathrooms everywhere. But I don't know where they are. And we have to walk a long distance between the room and then where you eat and then where this conference room is and then where this conference room is. Like, I'm talking to get from my friend's room to my room was a mile. Literally, because I got lost. And so I had to pull it up in my phone. And so then it showed me that it was a mile. Not one time in all of these days have I been like, where's the bathroom? I need to know where the bathroom is so that if on my trek in between here and there, because also when you text people and it's like, hey, I'm saving us a seat over here. And they're like, okay, on my way. It takes them 20 minutes to show up. Like, I'm telling you, we are a distance from all the things. Okay. So that's my point of someone who's had such constant chronic digestive issues, having to walk somewhere 15, 20, 30 minutes and not knowing if there's a bathroom anywhere in between. That would have been absolutely terrifying for me. I might not have eaten this week. Like, I might have done whatever protein shake I could try and find so as to avoid eating actual food so that I wouldn't have to get sick or something. But carnivore has so drastically changed my life, but my health and my digestive abilities and all the things that I don't even have to worry about it. Like, I'm going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth because I figured out the lay of the land before everybody else did. So I was walking people to and fro and it just didn't bother me. Like, I don't know. I think I'm starting to ramble. But it's been so impactful for me. And so there's no part of me that's like, you should try carnivore. Everyone should try this. I'm going to say what Lisa says all the time. If anything, maybe try keto, because I literally don't eat any fruits and vegetables for multiple reasons. A, fruits and vegetables have natural sugars and natural carbs. B, I could barely digest fruits and vegetables to save my life pre-carnivore. So I'm not doing it now. You know, we're helping out the intestinal tract here. So maybe try keto. Maybe try just limiting your sugar. Maybe just limiting your carbs. Maybe don't do anything. Maybe you don't need to. I'm just here to give you my experience. And I like to say all the time, if you found, I don't know, if you found something that works for you, if you found your favorite store, if you found your favorite new Starbucks recipe, your favorite whatever, you want to share it with people, because I love this thing so much that I want you to love it too, right? So that's all I'm here doing. I am just purely telling you about something that is in the midst of changing my life for the better. And so I just wanted to let you know that it exists, because I didn't know prior to YouTube. So here we are, full circle moment. I do plan to continue to update you guys as we go. I do plan to do this until I get to a healthy body weight. We shall see what the good Lord has in store. But yeah, so I need to I have no idea what time it is. I'm not wearing my watch, so I should probably go and make sure that I'm not going to be late for my next session. So have a great night, you guys. Bye.